Good morning. In previous class, already we started a new lesson from history, that is the age of industrialization. The lesson starts with an image which was published as a cover page in 1900, which was published by a music company E.T. Powell. So there we find a angel like a figure, and she was floating, which represents the future, and she carried one clock which is century, and then the head of that image was dawn of the century, means it is the early period before sunrise in general. Here the meaning is before the industrialization, and she stand on a roll which indicates time and progress. That means their machines, photograph, as well as railways, these are all represent in that image, which indicates the industrialization period. And the second image consists of two parts. The top part is Aladdin, and the bottom one is a modern mechanic. So Aladdin, the tales from Orient, that is the east of Mediterranean Sea, we know what he did with the help of magic lamp or with the help of a genie. The same kind of magic was done by technology, that indicates the image. And we discussed about before industrialization. Generally, whenever we talk about industrialization, we always use that factory production. If we talk about workers, we industrial workers, we talk about only factory workers. But in the historians, they throw a light on exactly what happened before this industrialization. That period they name as a proto-industrialization. Proto-industrialization. Proto is nothing but the period, the early period before something which happened. So, in proto-industrialization, merchants move from towns to countryside, means rural areas. These merchants got orders from different parts of the world because European countries became the colonial masters over different parts of the world. That is why these people, merchants from European countries, got orders from different corners of the world. So that's why they wanted to produce more goods in Europe to export to the international market. But these people faced a problem to increase the production in urban areas. So in towns, most of the production was controlled by trade guilds. What is a trade guild? Trade guild is an association of producers. These producers appoint craft persons to produce the goods, and they try to acquire the skills, and they completely control the production and price. Most of these cases, these people got permission from the rulers to produce goods by themselves. That means monopoly. So, because of these trade guilds, the trade guilds were very much powerful at the time. So, that's why merchants found difficulties to increase the production in towns. So, they decided to move towards countryside. In countryside, at that time, conditions were common lands were disappeared in England as well as other parts. So small farmers and artisans get vegetables, hay, that means animal fodder, berries, and all from common lands. Whenever common lands were disappeared due to enclosure movement that took place in England, so small farmers started to struggle. So whatever the income which raised from their lands was not sufficient to feed their families, these people were in search of additional income. At an opportune time, these merchants come to countryside and they were ready to give advances and they provide work or employment to these people. So these people eagerly accept the advances and they started to produce the goods. So this kind of production that took place in a scattered way, so not in a concentrated way, small workshops. So one example is given in the we learned in previous class, a merchant clothier in England. First of all, he purchased wool from puller. That means who sought out the puller. And then these people has to go to the spinner as well as weaving and dyeing. These different steps of cloth production that took place on different parts. So trader has to supervise in all these areas. If one stage of work is completed and then the trader or merchant handed it over to the next stage. In this way, goods were produced with the help of machines and tools in rural areas. The final work is done at London. That means packing and all. So most of this work was done in small workshops. They used the family labor to work all these things. And then how the factories started and all. In today's class we are going to learn how the factory production which started in England. Especially in factory production initially started in 1730s. The earliest factories in England came up by the 1730s, but it was only in the late 19th century that the number of factories multiplied. 19th century means from which year to which year is considered as a 19th century? I think you know. 1701 to 1800 is considered as a 18th century. So the first factories in England came up by 1730s, but it was only the late 18th century that was number of factories multiplied. That means it took its time for multiplication of factories. Come to the first symbol of new era was cotton. That means the first industry which was developed in England was cotton industry. Its production boomed in the late 19th century. In 1760, see the example figures, by that we can understand how the cotton industry that grew in Britain. In 1760, Britain was importing 2.5 million pounds of raw cotton to feed its cotton industry. By 1787, this import soared to 22 million pounds. What is the time span? From 1760 to 1787, only 27 years of time. How much the import of raw cotton increased? 2.2 million pounds to 22 million pounds, almost 9 times. So 9 times import of raw cotton increased means that cotton production, textile production that increased in England with that pace. By that we can understand how the industrialization that took place in England. And then series of inventions, different new inventions also helped for this in the 18th century, increased the efficiency or efficacy of each step of the production process. So those are, the textile that manufacture at different stages like ginning as well as making of a thread, yarn, weaving, pleating, dyeing, different stages which involves in making of a cloth. Those are cording, twisting, and spinning and rolling. So these are all different steps, different inventions that took place. So carding is nothing but weaving of a cloth by doing the pleat work. So twisting, spinning and rolling. These are all the different stages of manufacturing cloth. So in all these stages, somehow new inventions which helped for the growth of textile industry in England. They enhanced the output per worker, enabling each worker to produce more, and they made possible the production of stronger threads and yarn. So these are all that took place because of new inventions. So here the situation demanded to produce more. That's why new inventions come into existence, which helps for quick production and as well as quality improved. Then Richard Arkwright created the cotton mill. So before this cotton mill, what happened in previous class we learned now. Most of these different stages of work was done at different places in the countryside. So when our James Watt, who created a first cotton mill, James Watt created a first cotton mill in 1771. When he created, which is not given in the textbook, please note down. James Watt created a first cotton mill in 1771. There, which was the world's first water-powered mill at Cromford, which covered both carding, spinning operations. So, in this way, Richard Arkwright cotton mill, which helps to produce more, because before this creation of cotton mill, the textile production which was scattered in countryside at each stage is done by different people. That's why this which was somehow difficult to the merchant to supervise its quality at different workshops and all. Whenever it comes within the mill, the process were brought together under one roof and management. So this allowed a more careful supervision over the production process, a watch over quality and regulation of labor, all of which had been difficult to do when production was in the countryside. So that's why the mode of production which changed due to the creation of cotton mill by James Watt in 1771, which revolutionized the textile industry. In the early 19th century, factories increasingly become an intimate part of England landscape. So visible were the imposing new mills, so magical seemed to be the power of new technology that contemporaries were dazzled. In a poetic way, he explained. They concentrated their attention on mills, almost forgetting the bylanes and workshops where production still continued. That means, where even though mill production or factory production started, still parallelly workshops in countryside also continued its production. So come to what its pace, the pace of industrial change. You know, the pace means speed. How the industrial change that took place, how it take its time and all. Let's see. The first of all, the most dynamic industries in Britain were clearly cotton and metals. Already we learned the first dynamic industry in England was cotton. Later, the second dynamic industry was metals. So that's why they used to say that the most dynamic industries in Britain were clearly cotton and metals. Growing at a rapid pace, cotton was the leading sector in the first phase of industrialization until 1840s. Up to 1840s, the dominant industry in England was cotton. But after 1840, that scenario was changed. Why that scenario changed? Here, due to the introduction of railways in England and its colonies, the requirement for iron, and they produced more machines, as well as railway lines required more iron. That is why demand for iron increased after 1840s. So the first time railway line railroad line started in Britain in 1825 between Stockton and Darlington, which is not mentioned in our textbook. You please note down. The first railway road line started in Britain in 1825 between Stockton and Darlington. So the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, which was opened in 1830, was the first modern railway road in England. So come to its colonies. Suppose if you take India, India was also a colony of British, you know. So in India, the first railway line was laid in 1853 between Mumbai and Thane. Its distance was 34 kilometers. So in this way, in 1840s, mostly railway lines were developed in England, and after 1860s, in the same way, railways were developed in its colonies. That is why the demand for iron increased. So that's why they gave figure C1, sir. By 1873, Britain was exporting iron and steel worth about 77 million pounds, double the value of its cotton exports. So cotton was the first dynamic industry in the first stage of industrialization until 1840s. Due to the introduction of railways, that situation was changed. So railway lines were developed in England. Later it was developed in its colonies also, which created more demand for iron industry, iron and steel industry. That is why its production of iron and steel industry, exporting of iron and steel industry was 77 million pounds in 1873, which was double the value of cotton export. So in this way, iron and steel industry surpassed the cotton industry by after 1840. And come to the second point, the new industries could not easily displace the traditional industries. What were the traditional industries? Most of the work was done in countryside with the help of small machines and tools. That's what we are talking about traditional industries. Even at the end of 19th century, less than 20% of total workforce was employed in technologically advanced industrial sector. That means it accommodated only 20% of workers. The remaining 80% of workers were working in traditional industries only. That means even though factory production started, it was not immediately replaced the traditional industries, which also both continued parallelly. So textile was a dynamic sector, but large portion of output was produced not within factories but outside within domestic units. That's what we discussed now. 80-20. 80% in traditional industries, only 20% in factory production. So let's see why. Because industries, even though factories started, why it continued until late 18th century, 19th century. only 20% of production from factory production. So the reasons are given once. The pace of change in the traditional industries was not set by steam powered cotton or metal industries, but they did not remain entirely stagnant either. That's what they are saying. That means factory production is increasing, but the pace was slow. Slowly, factory production increased, and traditional production also continued. That's what we have to understand from this. Seemingly, ordinary and small inventions were the basis of growth in many non mechanized sectors such as food processing, building, pottery, glassworks, tanning, furniture making, and production of different implements. So, in this way, small inventions which changed the course of production. And then come to the fourth, the technologically changes occurred slowly. So they did not spread dramatically across the industrial landscape. New technology was expensive, and merchants and industrialists were cautious about using it. Because here, factory owners or the producers need not buy the new machines by spending more and more money, because already these people have plenty of cheap labor. The people who migrate from rural to urban areas in search of employment, the supply of labor was more, employment opportunities were less. That is why basically the wages are also less. So the producer need not spend more money on industries. It was one of the reason, because the factory production increased slowly. That pace was slow because availability of labor was there, that too at cheaper rates. And moreover, the machines often broke down and repair was costly. So, which was initially designed, that's why it was broke down frequently. Repairs were expensive, and moreover, somehow shortage of technical people also for operating the machine. Have any repairs? It took some time for reparation and all. So, because of all these things, the producer think once and twice before buying new machine. So that's why producers were not much interested or enthusiastic towards buying new machines. That's why this factory production was somehow slow. And then one more thing is, they were not as effective as their inventors or manufacturers claimed. Suppose one manufacturer claims that my machine will produce some 6,000 units per hour, but in practical it may produce only 4,000 units or 5,000 units per hour. So that's why whatever which was claimed by the manufacturers, it won't perform as per what they claim. So that was also another reason producers were not very much interested to buy new machines. So regarding this, one classic example is given in the textbook. Let's see once. Consider the case of steam engine. Steam engine, we know it changed the course of entire production as well as mode of industrial production due to steam engine, which was a revolutionary invention which changed the entire pace and mode of production in industrial sector. But still initially steam engine was, no one was ready to buy the steam engine. That's what they explained once. James Watt improved the steam engine produced by Newcomen and patented the new engine in 1781. So here, who invented the steam engine? Steam engine was invented by James Watt, It was produced by Newcomen and patented it. His industrialist friend Matthew Boulton manufactured the new model, but for years he could find no buyers. See, which was a surprising thing. Even though he invented steam engine, which was a powerful invention, which changed the entire history of industrial sector, but initial stage there was no buyer. There was that means the people were not ready to buy steam engine. So, at the beginning of the 19th century, there were no more than 321 steam engines all over the world, all over England. How many are there? At the beginning of the 19th century, there were no more than 321 steam engines all over England. Of these, where they used also they gave C1s, 80 were in cotton industries, 9 in wool industries, and the rest in mining, canal industries, and iron industries. Steam engine were not used in any of other industries till much later in the century. So even the most powerful new technology which enhanced the productivity of labor manifold was slow to be accepted by the industrialist. The reasons already we discussed, because machines were so expensive, and moreover, whatever the producer or manufacturer claims about the machines, but practically these machines could not perform at that pace what promised by the manufacturer, and these machines often broke the work and all. That's why it disturbed the work. And another reason was plenty of cheap labor was available to the producers. That's why they need not spend more money to buy the machines. Because of all these reasons, even though factory production started, machines were invented, so the industrialization or factory production was slowly shifted from traditional industries to factory industries. So that is all about today's lesson. See once. So historians now have come to increasingly recognize that the typical worker in mid 19th century was not a machine operator but the traditional craftsperson and laborer, because already we discussed 80% of goods were produced, or 80% of employees who were employed in traditional industries. So factories accommodated only 20% of employees. So that's why it was somehow slow. So this hand labor and steam power we will discuss in the next class. Let's recapitulate once exactly what we discussed in today's class. And today we learnt about the coming of factories. The early factories in England came up in 1730s, but it was only in late 18th century that number of factories multiplied. So it started in 1730s. By the end of 1780s and 90s, only number of factories increased in England. The symbol of new era was cotton. That means the first dynamic industry which was developed in Britain was cotton industry. So the cotton industry, how it developed is given with the help of some figures. In 1760, England imported 2.5 million pounds of raw cotton to feed its cotton industries. By 1787, that means with the span of only 27 years, that imports increased to 22.5 million pounds. By that we can understand how the cotton industry developed in England, how it grew in England in 1700s. And in many cases, series of inventions which helped for the rapid development of textile industry. Not only machines, so small inventions which increased the efficacy of production process like carding, twisting, spinning and rolling. In all this process, new inventions which helped the producers to enhance the production, as well as it helps to increase the productivity per worker. So by that the cost of production naturally decreases. So by that they can export more and more goods to for international market. In 1771, Richard Arkwright, who set up a cotton mill. So until this creation of cotton mill, the most of the cloth which was produced at different stages in countryside. So in previous class also we learned like a puller, a stapler, as well as a spinner, dyer. So these many people has to do the work at different stages, stage by stage. The final work was done at London. So due to the creation of cotton mill by Richard Arkwright, then the whole production may takes place under one roof, under one management only. By that, the supervision of quality as well as controlling of labor was very easy to the producer. So by that they started to produce more for the market. In the early 19th century, factories increasingly became an intimate part of English landscape. So in this way, number of industries were multiplied, and then we discussed about even the pace of industrial change at fourfold stages. In the first, the most dynamic industries in England were cotton and metal. That means in the first stage cotton, later it was surpassed by iron and steel industry, metal industries. Growing at the rapid pace, cotton was the leading sector in the first phase of industrialization up to 1840s. After 1840s, metal industry started to dominate the cotton industry because railway lines were introduced in England. The first railroad line was laid between in Britain in 1815 between Stockton and Darlington. Later, it introduced in colonies also. In India also we discussed in 1850 the first railway line was laid between Mumbai and Thane, which length was only 34 kilometers. In this way, 1830s and 40s railway lines were developed in England. At later stage after 1860s, the same railway lines were developed in its colonies, which created more demand for iron and steel industry. So, by 1873, iron and steel exports was worth of 77 million pounds, which was the double the value of cotton exports. In this way, metal industry surpassed the cotton by 1870s, after 1840s of course. And then even though textile industry, machines were introduced, it was not completely replaced with the traditional industries. Only 20% of employment was provided in technologically advanced factories. Remaining 80% of people who work in traditional industries only. We can simply understand the production also almost the same ratio. So that means even though factory production started, it was not replaced immediately. It took its time. So that was the pace of change in the traditional industries was not set by steam powered cotton or metal industries. Only the small things at the same time, which is not completely stagnant. It was somehow slow. And moreover, the small inventions, the ordinary and small inventions which helped to increase the production in industries like food processing, building, pottery, glasswork, tanning, furniture, making, and production of implements and all. And technological change occurred slowly and it did not spread dramatically. The reasons also we discussed. The machines were costly and moreover plenty of cheap labor was available to the producers. That's why they need not invest more money on for buying machines and the performance of machines were also not up to the mark as per the claim of manufacturers of that particular machines, and these machines often broke down and shortage of technical or skilled people to operate the machines or to repair the machines. Because of all these reasons, that means this industrialization was somehow slow. To explain that situation, they gave about steam engine. The steam engine was developed by James Watt. It was produced by Newcomen and patented the new engine in 1781, and his industrial friend Matthew Boulton manufactured the new model, but for years they could not find buyers. So at the beginning of 19th century, there was only 321 steam engines, that too limited to very small industries only few industries. So in this way, it was somehow slow. So in today's lesson, what questions which is covered? In today's lesson, simply we have to learn about the coming up of the factories. There you may expect one question. Explain the process of a factory, how the factories is set up in England. So there you can write it started in 1730s and multiplied in late 18th century, as well as the first dynamic industry was cotton industry, and then 1760 to 1787 how that raw cotton imports increased in England, and then different inventions and all you have to. And then the phase of industrial change, we can expect one essay. How the phase of industrial change that took place in England. So there you have to explain about those 4 stages. In first dynamic industry was cotton up to 1840s, and it was replaced by metal industry after 1840s because the introduction of railway lines in England as well as its colonies. And the next one is it is not easily replaced. And third, the same it took its time, and small inventions also helped the producers to increase the production in different industries. And then a technological change occurred slowly because of its expenses and all. And you can quote the example of James Watt also. Only 2 questions are covered. The first one is how the factories were started in England, and then what was the phase of industrial change in England in the early stage. You learn these 2 questions. By that this class will complete, and you keep update your classworks parallel to the lessons before next class. Okay, thank you.